YouTube, Kennard, Burn, and Stewart here for the podcast talking Auburn football. Like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speak Sports Auburn. Auburn taking on Alabama Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa on Saturday with the typical CBS game. This series is very interesting. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And as always, great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. Bo Nix and the Auburn Tigers go up to Tuscaloosa Auburn not having won that game since 2010 as a result of the comeback, where Auburn found themselves in a very lopsided potential situation. Cam Newton and the Auburn Tigers managed to keep easing their way back into the football game and develop some confidence, especially in the middle of the third quarter. And the rest is history. Auburn won that game 28-27. Things haven't been so fortunate for Auburn since then. A few lopsided victories, especially in Tuscaloosa, 49-0 one year, 36-0. I mean, it kind of got out of hand. But when Auburn wins, it's actually it's pretty close. Usually Auburn wins by single digits. The only double-digit win I can think of in recent history was a 26-14 win in 2017, where Auburn found themselves victorious over number 1 Georgia at the time and number 1 Alabama a couple of weeks later. Now, the only catch with that is when we look at recruiting and we look at depth, Auburn was in a real devastating situation, having lost their starting running back, Kerryon Johnson. Well, all but lost Kerryon Johnson in the Alabama game. And he was kind of hobbled in the Georgia game in the SEC championship. And that just kind of was glaring as to where Auburn was as far as recruiting goes with the running back position, because there shouldn't be too many instances, especially in the modern day college football, where your starting running back goes down and your whole team falls apart. All right, so let's talk about the current situation here with Auburn and Alabama. Alabama has won the last 3 games by an average of 50 points in their favor to 6 in the other team's favor. That's pretty lopsided. Looking at Auburn, Auburn really has started to gain some type of identity offensively. Defensively, they've still been vulnerable, especially for the interior run. And strangely enough, that's where Alabama pretty much makes their living. They do a lot of moving guards, a lot of interior blocking, which could be problematic for Auburn's very inexperienced defensive line as a whole. So, Alabama also has a really talented group of wide receivers. You look at guys like Devontae Smith, who's been around for a little bit, had the winning touchdown in the national championship game against Georgia. You also are looking at John Mechie, who has done pretty well, 535 yards. Some other guys starting to emerge because of the injury of Jalen Waddell, who got hurt earlier this year, I think in the Tennessee game. And that's actually a lot of production lost. He was averaging about 22.3 yards per catch. And that kind of production is usually hard to make up for. But Alabama has done a really, really good job in his absence in moving the ball in the pass game with Mac Jones. And then you look at on defense, these guys are very opportunistic. Definitely glad to have Dylan Moses back on the Alabama side at linebacker. He's done pretty well, 46 tackles, 29 solo tackles. So the talent is definitely not only there at Alabama, but it's being very productive. Unlike, let's just use Georgia, for example. Georgia got all these 5 stars, but you don't see that next level productivity from those guys. But Alabama's a team that actually is not only getting the guys, but they're actually producing the talent that easily transfers over to the NFL. Auburn, on the other hand, Tank Bigsby could be out for this game because of a hip injury. Auburn is a little better at the skill position, I believe, than last year. I think they have some guys that can actually make some plays. Also, a little bit deeper in the backfield. I think, you'll be serviceable. Let's just say if DJ Williams has to lead the charge, or you got to get a few more touches with Sean Shivers. So when I look at this football game, I think this is an opportunity for Bo Nix to continue to develop his skill. I think he doesn't understand yet, but I think he's starting to understand what's being asked of him. I think he's starting to understand how his talent can transfer over to Power 5 football. I think Auburn on defense is really going to have to keep everything in front, because Alabama is completely backbreaking when they throw those long passes, and they can get it done from anywhere. These guys are very fast and they're very skilled. When I look at the potential outcome of this game, I see a very competitive football game. I see Auburn getting some stops. I see Auburn giving themselves an opportunity to make a game of it. At the end, though, I think Alabama will be too much. I'm looking at a 38-24 game. Alabama wins. They break the trend of Auburn winning this game. Auburn has actually won the two of the last three. So I think Alabama will end that. 38-24, your final score. Like the video, comment, and subscribe. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.